Oh, yeah.
You're making me laugh. We haven't even done anything yet.
I'm just sitting here.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Flip Side Podcast. I'm your host, Retro Ralph, and we're here with special guest, Ian Jacoby from Nudge Magazine. So, the reason why we're here and the reason why I brought Ian with me is because we got a chance to do something really cool today. We got a chance to visit Stern Pinball to see the latest game release, the latest cornerstone, which is Dungeons & Dragons. But before we even dive into that, for those of you that don't know or haven't met Ian before, I'm going to have Ian do a little introduction into himself and what he does for the pinball community. So, Ian, what is it that you do?
I run a pinball magazine called Nudge Magazine. It's a pinball lifestyle magazine, so we don't necessarily cover new games. All I can think about is how angry someone's going to be who just wants to hear about Dungeons and Dragons right now. They'll be like, shut up, who cares? But we are a pinball lifestyle magazine, so we'll cover tournaments or people doing interesting things. We've written articles about Jack Danger and but also things that kind of maybe wouldn't normally get covered. There was very kind of famously, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, there was a man actually in the French National Pinball Championships who scored 1 billion points on Iron Maiden, I think in the finals, but he then dropped dead of a heart attack. Yeah, crazy story.
Which volume was that in?
I think that was in 2, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but so anyway, his best friend moved to New York City and randomly, through pinball, became friends with one of our writers and photographers, and they kind of
the one that brought the story up?
Yeah, and it was kind of actually this beautiful tribute to his friend, but okay, I don't love that.
I feel like, all right, he was in the middle of a really important story. It was a trip, and you're probably wondering why I have this glove on. It's because when I started to film this, everything was electrocuting me, literally everything. So I'm sorry, I'm going to take it off now in hopes that it doesn't happen anymore.
It was quite funny.
Jesus Christ, I'm getting zapped in my ear, dude. Something is definitely fucked up right now. I need to use it. I'm getting zapped in. I don't even want to touch it. I'm afraid to touch the fucking camera.
Don't touch it then. We're good. Why are you touching it?
I need to press record. If I get zapped, I'm gonna fucking freak out, dude. I don't want to get. Shut up. It's not cool. It's not funny. All right, so this guy, that's a wild story.
You want me to go back into that? No. So anyway, it was just the two of them were really, it was a special friendship that they had. So it was kind of this crazy story. And the reason, the reason that people come into it is they're like, wow, someone dropped dead. But also it's kind of this beautiful story of a man and his friends. So we will cover that kind of stuff in addition to just we'll go to TPF or we'll go to Expo. We just have fun, pinball is fun. It's about community and that kind of stuff.
And I think that's the thing that I like about the magazine. And even you obviously do more than just the magazine. You're all over social media and everything. But I think you bring out it's easy to get caught up in the media reporting on new stuff.
Yeah.
But you're really, and I don't even know if you'd explain it this way, but I think a lot of the pictures and images you see are from the magazine or even the stuff you put on social media is people enjoying pinball.
Yeah.
And some of the cool, fun stuff that comes out of that.
And it's all different kinds of games. I think that we really do appreciate modern games. I play X-Men all the time. I really love that game. But also I've had really a lot of fun on Diamond Lady. We talk about that in an article, and that's a crazy game from I think 1987. That's a Gottlieb.
I still need to figure out your obsession with that. I haven't.
Have you played it?
No.
Okay, it's really cool. Well, so if anyone out there is it would be really hard to find a Bond. Is it Bond 60th?
Is that 60th? Yeah.
I can never remember the year, but it's really hard to find a Bond 60th, right? But one of the shots from Bond 60th is in a Diamond Lady. You could find a Diamond Lady for $1,700. So if you just think it's cool, you know what I'm talking about, where there's the shot on the left-hand side that it has a really cool return to it.
Yeah. That's it almost reminds me of a reverse question mark, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's in Diamond Lady. So
so you think they took inspiration from Diamond Lady?
100%. 100%.
Now I want to check it out.
It's really cool. And there are iterations to it. Keith's thing is actually cooler. There's some kind of more things you can do there, but it is that same return and that same idea, the ball using it's kind of energy, you know, to return it safely back. Super cool stuff. So I'm just saying, like, we appreciate that just as much as
the new stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's cool. And I think, you know, one thing before we get to Dungeons and Dragons, I think the one thing that I kind of picked up, and I don't want to say it was necessarily inspired by the magazine, but maybe just us talking a lot. Like Ian plays a lot of competitive pinball, like at tournament play, and I feel like the magazine showcases a lot of like people getting together and playing. And I used to just play mostly at home. And I think I started to really enjoy pinball more. And this is one of the things that we were talking about today with various people at Stern is like, I'm enjoying pinball way more now, getting out and hanging out because I'm meeting cool people that also like pinball. So you can nerd out on all the stuff like we just did, like what we just talked about.
Totally. And I'm not going to like front like I'm some amazing tournament player. I like playing, you know.
But
and
you enjoy that whole like environment.
100%. And I will say like a lot of our writers and photographers are quite big into the tournament scene and our tournament directors. And yeah, I think that's like the part that keeps people in pinball. Otherwise, like that's what makes it feel alive and like now, you know, is like it's people are out there like having fun. Like we just got back from Interium. Like it was literally this was a crazy tournament. There's 102.
Yeah, that was a lot of people.
It was crazy.
And he said their monthly tournaments are usually about that. And I think that's
yeah.
It's a lot of people in a room playing pinball together. So.
And it was cool. It's like all ages. Like there was like young people. Yeah. There was quite old people. Roger Sharp played in it.
Roger Sharp was funny because I was with Vic and he didn't know that was Roger Sharp. And I was like, hey, the guy who saved pinballs right there. He's like, shut up. And I'm like, that's him. And he's oh my gosh, that is him. I'm like, yeah, well, that's the guy.
He kind of looked amazing tonight. He looked like a cowboy from heaven or something. He looked amazing.
He did have like kind of this like turtleneck thing.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was like, damn. I took a couple pictures of him playing X-Men because I was like, he was not having good balls on X-Men when I saw him.
Well,
it's a tough game.
And you know he
ass kicker.
He does make mustaches look good. Like he definitely can wear a mustache.
I'm like trying to grow it. I'm realizing I haven't gone through this part of puberty yet. It's really a bummer.
It looks great, man.
Oh, thanks, dude. Great. I really appreciate that.
All right, so I'm going to paint the picture of today a little bit.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So this is like maybe the third time Stern's done this, and just for those of you that don't know, they invite people in that they consider media, which could be, you know, someone that does, you know, Instagram or whatever it is, whatever platform they use to cover pinball. And so there's all different people. There's YouTubers, there's bloggers, there's people that have, I said YouTube already, but whatever, podcasts.
Just only YouTubers and bloggers. Yeah. That was it.
It wasn't
and
actually...
one that, no. And like a magazine guy, some Twitch streamers, but yeah.
So I like that they do this because I feel like in the past, how you got information about a game is you basically just watched a trailer and you just speculated on how it was. And even when you watch the live stream, you can get a little bit from a live stream, but at the same time, until you actually experience it, it's really hard. So I think it's a smart move by Stern to do this because I think it's them saying like, hey, look, if people are going to talk about it, I'd rather have them talk about it after experiencing it versus like just speculating on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. No.
So it's smart.
For sure. And I think just pinball is an in-person thing. Like, it's really hard to pull stuff from a video. Like when we played the game, I think you understand it differently for sure. Yeah.
So basically they invited us all in. We got in there. They did a factory tour. Ian and I hung back because we've done it before. And I think
I felt like such a
little bit of a prima donna, huh?
I was.
Oh, I've been on the tour.
No,
time.
Not necessarily that. I think it's more like look how I'm dressed, guys. It's kind of like a senior in high school who's got like senioritis. It was like that was the vibe. I'm like, bro, I just like want to like play pinball. So
well, there's also some pretty cool games in the lobby.
That's what I'm saying is like y'all, like if you are gonna be at Stern, the lobby is just like every Stern game that you could want to play.
Yeah.
And so we were just like having fun on Black Knight Sword of Rage, and we had a great time. Like
it was super fun.
You walked away with like a new appreciation, and the only downside to that is like that I'm sure it's because that would suck if your office was like in there. You know what I mean? But like it's turned down. Like all the sounds are turned way down, and like that is a game where I'm just like, bro, like let's.
Yeah,
the coin. Yeah, exactly.
They had it was kind of a weird thing because they just reran Black Knight Sword of Rage, and it was like this it was an engineering version of the game, so it had the premium playfield, it had the LE armor, it had the pro speakers, it had the topper. I didn't catch what the art, if the back glass was
You're
actually.
so much more observant than I am. I'm like, it was a Black Knight sort of ridge, and I know it was a premium because it had an upper playfield.
Yeah, well I did get that part. But anyway, so that was fun, and so anyway, so Ann and I hung back on that. And honestly, they weren't really selling that the factory tour was going to be all that interesting this time, because they were like, yeah, no one's in here right now because it's an inventory day. So there was no one making anything. So to me, I don't know how interesting that would be, because to me it's interesting when you see all the like humans making the games.
I mean, I just felt like we had been there for Wick, and like I took like the pictures I needed. Like it's cool, like it's cool to see everything being made. But yeah, I guess it was just more valuable to me, like to hang out and like something that I try to practice what I preach on this is like, I think for those of us in pinball media, like it's important to remember why you are here, which is like pinball's fun and like you should have fun. Like it wasn't going to be fun for me to like walk through that factory for like an hour and a half. I would rather like sit with you, and we played with John from Stern. He was like our chaperone to make sure that we weren't seeing anything bad. Yeah, they have like they kind of escort you around, which is good. They should do that. We're a bunch of creeps. So
well, and there's interesting stuff back there that you can kind of see, but you can't really see.
Exactly,
you know, like, stuff is going down across that wall, but you can't really see it. So
yeah, but it was just like more fun to like do that with you guys. Sure. So that we did that for a while, and then we got to go.
Well, this was the benefit. I didn't know. I feel like you kind of knew this might have happened, but I wasn't really.
I just knew like if you hang with people at Stern,
they're gonna bring you to the places you want to go.
Exactly.
So we finished up playing. I'm actually, by the way, I am glad that there were people that didn't get a chance before to see the factory to see it, because it is a very impressive place.
100%. I'm not like crapping on it, but you can watch their content on that for sure.
So anyway, so they did that, and then one of the cool things is because we were done with our game. He's like, "Hey, do you wanna just go into the room now and you can see Dungeons and Dragons now?" And I was like, I looked at Ian. I'm like, "Yeah, that's not even."
I was like, "Let's literally just drain our ball right now." I thought that. I was like, "Should we just like leave right now?" Sure, like yeah.
So we walked into the room, and as we walked in, it was interesting because it's like, I guess there was did you know this part? There was a morning session for distributors. I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
So Brian,
I'm learning that right now.
So Brian and Dwight had done the same thing that we just experienced before that.
Poor guys.
So basically we walk in, Dwight and Brian Eddy and Dwight Sullivan are there. And so one, the game designer, one, the code developer being Dwight, and the game designer being Brian. And they basically were like, "Look, we're just going to give you a full rundown of the game before you can play it." And it was a very long and very detailed rundown, which I appreciated, but I will say that like they were getting into very, very granular code details. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I check out kind of at that stuff, and it's not in a disrespectful way. It's this, my brain can't compute it. Like
Brian Eddy is my favorite game designer, and and I love Dwight too, but I was just like, bro, like just let it. Because we're also like in a room with 3 Dungeons and Dragons. Like every single person there is just like, like just like let me.
Well,
play.
We all wanted to play it, obviously.
And it was a great talk. Like it is a crazy. I mean, the amount of detail that has gone into this game, and like the coding, like when people are like, I don't like code, like it seems like it's just like a fallback kind of thing. I'm like, I dare people to say that about this one, because I just think, like, cool. Yes, the code even now was like super early, like obviously, like it was like, I'm not gonna say it wasn't. You could go everywhere. Like you could go everywhere. There were multi-balls coded into it. Yeah. Like all the elements of like the dungeon part of it.
The dungeon crawl part was, I mean, coded, maybe not completely, but there's definitely paths in it that you can go and take, and there's things, different ways you go are going to give you different things, like a dead end or a battle or something like that.
And what is kind of cool about this one is that it is like its weakness is its strength, in that it is like very heavily reliant on code. I think this game is like
for sure.
But that's cool because they were talking about they're going to roll out like more bad guys or like more monsters to fight. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there's going to be like 38 different monsters
And they
or
said
something.
they said 38, and then he's like, and then Dwight had made like some like not under his breath, but like almost like, hey, Brian, we're gonna do more than that. Like we're gonna do even more than that. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's cool. So they have all these like big
So-
ambitions for.
And I talked to Dwight and I was like, were you ever a DM? And he was like, oh, I forgot to tell this story, so I can say this now. But
Oh, all right, I don't know this.
he was like, not only was I a dungeon master, he's like, I actually started a like Dungeons and Dragons club in my, you know,
Really?
like in his town or something like that.
Oh, that
He
makes
was
sense
like,
then.
no, for sure. And he's a guy who's obsessed with board games. And I was like, was this really fun for you? Because it seems like he got to have a really big hand, not just in coding the game and like thinking about rule sets, which is a strength of his,
Yeah.
but I also think he got to flex some of his like creative muscle and like, so he worked with this storyteller and was like, how do we translate this into pinball rules? Which is
Yeah.
like, that's just such a cool, he's the perfect guy for that exercise, like to do it.
Well, and he kept saying this thing that like stuck with me. He's like, look, whenever we were deciding how deep the story should get, we'd always tell ourselves, but at the end of the day, it's a pinball machine. So
Right.
like the story can be cool, but your end logic is this is pinball. So how do I make it still feel like a pinball machine, but like yet go kind of like be interesting in the storytelling and some of the like D&D
This is
elements.
totally the and sorry to talk over you there.
You're not.
But, okay, word. But this is totally the like King Crimson or like some of those prog rock bands or like Rush or something like that. They're like pushing the limits of like what a pinball coding like
could
kind
be.
of can be. And like, because not only is there like, okay, so yeah, all the stuff you would want in a Dungeons and Dragons game, it's
Right.
like you're saving progress, you're leveling up. They talked about, dude, something that was really cool that they were like, something we didn't like about Venom was the higher your level got, the easier the game
The easier
got.
the game gets.
They're like,
yeah.
no, in Dungeons and Dragons, it's going to be like when you play a game and like as you level up, the bad guys level up. So if you fought
Yeah.
like 3 rats when you're a level 2, it's like when you're a level 7, you're going to fight like, you know, 5 to 7 rats or something.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff is just like, oh, that's like really cool. And that's like a way as like you get better at the game, it becomes more challenging for you
Yeah.
like as you're playing it.
I do think sometimes like Stern sells themselves short in the sense that like what they said in there, while it was really long-winded, I was like, holy crap. I was thinking to myself, like, wow, to like basically what we just said, they took it to a level that was like very thoughtful of like, how are we going to make this interesting from a D&D perspective, but like also it's a pinball machine. So how do we even bring these two worlds together? And I feel like they did, at least in the early code we played, and it's very early, obviously still, I felt like it was pretty fun in its basic form, the way we experienced it.
Absolutely, and I thought it flowed well. It was
The
fun.
shots were
Like
fun.
the shots are fun. Like
There's that one shot that's under the there's like you can kind of get the ball over to underneath the gelatinous cube,
Yeah.
and then it'll let it out, and there's this right flipper, and you can kind of like, if you hit it right, it kind of goes around this little orbit.
yeah,
It's super fun. Like it's one of those things where there's sometimes when you hit a shot, you're like, oh, that was so cool. That was cool. Like there's a lot of those in there.
I hate to. So anyone who knows Nudge knows that my favorite game is The Shadow, and that's Brian Eddy's first game. And up to this point, that is the only 3 flipper Brian Eddy game that's
really?
ever
Okay, I
existed.
didn't
Yeah,
know
he
that.
does.
Okay.
He does only fan layouts. Other than that, with 2 flippers. It for like Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars.
Do you think that you would consider this? Like, I know there's like some debate. I was actually looking it up online the other day. Like, can a 3 flipper game be a fan layout? Because
No, I don't think so.
no.
Well, in my definition, like no. I think I just
It
think
didn't feel like that to me. Like Venom, you look at it and you're like, that's a fan layout. You know what I mean?
it is.
Like,
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So he has stuck really to this like traditional fan layout for a long time. So like, dude, for me, my favorite game is his first game where it was a 3 flipper. This one's a 3 flipper. It has a loop. It has some fun. Like there are multiple shots out of that upper flipper that are like fun. Like
yeah, they're really fun.
he's like still, I mean, this is like gonna be, I don't want to be like hot takey, but to me I was like, dude, Brian Eddy feels back with this game. Like it feels like a
Yeah.
good Brian Eddy game. Like I think it's fun. I think it's giving a lot of people like what they want. Like so I mean, it was cool to hear him talk about it, but I didn't give a shit till we started playing it. I mean, like
Well, true. And I was kind of piecing it together as Like, I think some of it was coming back to me as I was playing, but most of it I was just like, I just need to discover it for myself.
Yeah, and you just want to see how the shots feel, and yeah, it feels good. I think the art is cool. I think having a bottom third that is both, it has to function as a map. So that's something that's interesting about this game is someone at Stern actually compared it to Jurassic Park, which I think is really smart because in Jurassic Park, you know, you kind of there's a forking path and you
Right.
sort of decide, right, which way you go through it.
Yeah.
This is like Jurassic Park except for you can go backwards, right? Or
Yeah.
you could go somewhere else. Like you're truly roaming around this map.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
I thought that was cool. I think the characters having different strengths right off the bat is cool. Like you do want to be like aware of that. Like there's I can't remember, there's like a female character that her shield time is longer. So
Yeah.
and like the shield ended up being something I really thought was cool. So like let's say you start the dragon multi-ball. Well, the dragon holds I think 3 balls.
Yeah.
And then so the dragon has 3 balls in it that you don't see. They're just preloaded in there. And then there's 5 balls in the game. And so it's an 8-ball multi-ball. And the thing is you can hit your shield and then sort of like imagine it's like almost like I'm going to hoard my ammo so I can unleash it on the dragon. And that's what I was thinking when I did it. The only thing that I had that was Elizabeth Gieske, who did some of the code on the game, not like to the level Dwight did. She helped with the code. I don't know all of the things
I think this was like an all hands on deck game because it's so deep. They were talking about like hundreds of lines of dialogue. Like, so they were all working on it.
Yeah, so she was there while we were playing, and we didn't mention this earlier. So there was a limited edition, a premium, and a pro, and they were kind of in that order. And she was just hanging back because she wanted to see like our reaction to certain things. She's like, "This is awesome because I get to see the things that you like or the things that on your face you're like, oh, I'm not the biggest fan." And then she's also like, I'm gonna very much observe if I find bugs because I can see them. She's like, you don't even know it's a bug sometimes.
Yeah.
But to me, I do. She goes, when I look at the game, I almost look at it like Matrix-like. Like I'm looking at all the code to see like what's going on, meaning like the ball did something and the LCD said this, but it really probably should have done this instead. But she did mention I was playing and I was like, I couldn't get my shield up. And she's like, what's going on? I was like, I can't get the shield up. And she goes, oh, you have to like quick hit it. And I go, well, why? And she goes, well, I guess I can say this. She's like, well, Dwight liked it better to quick hit it. She goes, but I think that people are going to hold it for too long and then the shield's not going to come up. She's like, so I think we might need to revise that because I couldn't, and I heard other people saying they couldn't figure out the shield because you have to like so what it's doing.
I never had a problem with it. I'll say
didn't?
that. So I must be a quick hitter. I don't know.
You must be. Like I had to register basically like the button is looking for a quick open close. And if it's open for too long, then it just doesn't launch.
Sure. Yeah. That shield mechanism is even like, that's interesting to me at like how the, cause like you're talking kind of about the coding of it, but also the design of it was really cool where as balls are trapped against the flippers and the shield, if you just hit the flipper hard, it auto hits ramps for you. It sets the shot up.
I know. I didn't get a chance to. I think you told me that after we were kind of.
It did it. I saw it several times, and they're like, "That's a feature of this game." I'm like, "That's actually incredible." It's like when you need this shot. Like there was a time when the extra ball was lit, and I watched Tyler White. Like he just like hit the shield button, let it sit there, and just like slapped it up, and it.
Oh man, that's
auto.
Cool. Right.
It auto did it. It's like that's really cool design. Cool. That's so smart. Like that, I've never seen something used that way.
Yeah,
so.
No, that is cool. The whole thing, honestly, like my initial, like we were talking before this a little bit, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I always feel like when people record things like this, everyone wants you to say like, "Do you like it? Would you want to buy it?" and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But right now, in the way it was, all I can really say, I think, is that I had a lot of fun with it, and we were all like really having fun with it. So I like want to keep playing it. Like I want to play it more to discover more of like what they're and I'm excited about what they could potentially do with it.
I did think that this is, this is
to get into like the like models because I do feel like I have a definite different opinion on like what one if I was gonna buy one or recommend one.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's interesting.
Well, I definitely. Well, So I'm someone who's not like a, premium usually is just would be like a luxury that
Yeah.
I wouldn't entertain. And I think for this one, the pro is really good.
It's really good.
It's really good. You're getting basically everything except for the dungeon.
The dungeon crawl and the
and
dragon's a little less animatronic than
right. Yeah. And like, who cares? I played a bunch of games on the pro and it played great. Like it played super fun. The shot even functions the same as the dungeon. Like it's the same shot. You just don't
Yeah.
have the pop up. It just goes into wherever that saucer is
Yeah.
or whatever, into a
No.
vuck or whatever.
Yeah, it is. It felt, put it this way, I think I spent the most time on the pro. I played the LE first, so
Yeah.
it's very rare to play the better model first with everything in it, and then go to the pro and be like, oh, I'm happy. And I was having just as much fun. So
The gelatinous cube functions exactly the same way. I think
Exactly.
even doesn't the dragon even shoots out the balls the same, does it?
I know the animatronic part. Maybe I didn't notice that. I honestly, that's the crazy thing is
I don't
didn't really notice.
remember. I don't remember.
I didn't really notice. But the one thing that's crazy to me is when we did come into the room with Dwight and Brian, the freaking dragon's huge. Like, like I didn't expect it to be that big.
It was bigger than I thought too.
Because
Yeah.
when I walked up to it, I was like, "Holy shit, the dragon's big!"
When people were comparing it to like, oh, it's like Jurassic Park, it's like no, it's bigger than Jurassic
it's way
Park.
bigger.
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Holy crap, that's pretty impressive." And I think I think if I was approaching this game as like a casual player too, it's pretty straightforward how to tell someone like, hey, you spell dragon by hitting the targets underneath it, and then there's a right shot that you have to hit, and now you've got multi-ball. So like you can kind of teach someone probably how to play it where it's approachable for someone that's like a newer player.
And they mentioned that. They were like, this is a game that we wanted it to be like someone
both, right?
Yeah, like someone who's deep into the code can understand it, and someone who's walking up for the first time and just being like, I just want to like kill a dragon. Like I'm gonna hit the dragon, like will understand.
And the
that
dragon battle thing is pretty cool.
It's kind of crazy.
It's just kind of fun with that many balls, the shield. And actually, Don said this, and I was like, dude, I kind of like this. Like he said something, and I was like, Don, that's actually really brilliant.
Okay, not to say actually. Yeah.
So no,
Don, it was brilliant.
That makes it sound like he doesn't say brilliant things.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah.
So you played Contra, right, on the NES?
Mm-hmm.
Or in the arcade.
Yeah.
Well, you know the spread gun in Contra?
Totally. It does have that vibe.
He's like, dude, it's like the spread gun because you can launch all your balls at the dragon. I was like, shit, that's actually pretty awesome.
It is. Yeah, stop saying actually. Yeah, that's
Am I saying actually a lot?
It's just like, yeah, it was
Am I
actually really
actually a lot?
It was actually really smart and insightful. Yeah, definitely. It does feel that way. It's super fun. It's weird because it's all about like you're just trying to hit the dragon and it's constantly draining balls, really, and you're just trying to prevent the balls from draining.
All right, I need to remember this part. Maybe you remember this. There is a thing though when you do have the shield up and you're battling the dragon. There's I can't remember. It's counting how many balls are draining, and I don't remember how that's working against you. It doesn't work against you in some way, right? You don't want too many to drain because you're trying to hit it while it's shooting you.
Right. Yeah. It gives you X amount of balls that you can drain, and then X amount of times you have to hit the dragon to get there. And like,
but if you drain too many, I think you lost the battle.
You die. Sure. Yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Because the drain is almost like you getting injured.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So that was cool. The character, I think so I didn't get deep into this with Elizabeth. She was walking around kind of trying to tell me because she's like, oh, start in this city's better, or this city's easier, or so like the two bottom cities on the map. I don't know if she told you this. Those are the easier cities.
Oh no,
so,
I didn't know that.
So she's like, even though you could pick any of them, she's like, my suggestion would be to pick the lower ones first on the map and then like work your way up. So I don't know if that's going to change. Obviously, code does change, but she was saying it was like an easier path, which was cool. The dungeon crawl thing, how that worked was like it's not a video mode really. It looks like a video mode.
Yeah.
So like the back box is showing you on the LCD, you're in the dungeon, right? And like you got to move forward. So to move forward, there's a spinner that's on a shot that's almost like directly in front of you. You hit that and then you progress forward.
Yeah.
And then you've got like a right, left, or straight option. And I think at that point you're using the flippers
to decide. Yeah.
But like she told me, she was like, look, because the cool thing about it is, so this map, the dungeon crawl is unique in that week that you play it. So if I play it next week, the map changes, which is actually cool, because if it didn't change, then I'd go, oh, if I go left, it's a dead end, or I go right, I get some jewels or whatever. Like, that's cool to me, because why, it would be boring if you would just go right, left, straight, and you know it every time. You know?
Yeah, no, it seems like they've added enough different kinds of assets that they can randomize this stuff, and it can truly be like different. Like, it's cool. Like, you know how they have like roguelite games and things like that. Like, this feels sort of in that genre of pinball, which is like interesting.
Okay, so the reason why you're looking at me right now and not me and Ian is because my camera died as we were recording the podcast. So unfortunately, the rest of the podcast is going to be audio only. Luckily, I was recording the audio only. So I'm going to bring you back into the episode, but from here on out, it's just going to be audio. Sorry about that. Stuff happens, and we were just having a good time, so I just didn't see it.
That's the question. Wasn't even thinking this. Like, well, what if your game's not connected? Like, how does it work? And it basically it
totally randomizes
all the time.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, so it just won't be. So instead of you getting the new map every time, it's just always random. But
yeah, and both you and I are members of a very exclusive club now, in that we both got the MXV
yeah, I know.
skill shot.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That was like and I do remember how to do it, but I won't say.
I'll say I don't remember. See, he actually like remembered what he did. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, and then I didn't know how I did it.
Yeah, well, because they don't tell you how to do it. So for y'all who maybe don't know, Mike Vinicor is an amazing pinball player, and he's someone who they will code an MXV skill shot into a lot of Stern games.
You know, I was wondering, if I was you listening to this, I'd be like, I want to know how the MXV skill shot came to be. So here's Mike Vinicor talking about how the MXV skill shot came to be a reality.
So I go running into Keith's office. I'm like, you should make this a skill shot. I just did it. And I told him what it was. He goes, oh, that's good. And he goes, well, why don't we name it after you? I'm like, what do you mean? I thought it was ribbing me. I'm like, there's no way this is true. He goes, we'll call it the MXV Super Skill Shot, and we'll name it after you, and it will become a thing. I'll let you have one in every game that I do. Now I didn't know that had a limit of 2 games, because so we did it, and then people really liked it, and then I designed one in Jurassic Park, and then people really liked that, and then I get to do one in Deadpool, I get to do one in Stranger Things, I did one in James Bond. I pitched one for Godzilla, and I don't know if it'll ever make it in, but they did like it, but it's not up to me. So Keith was right, it became a thing, and a lot of people are like, I love your skill shots, and I'm just like, I can't believe that there's even a skill shot named after me, but I'm glad that people like it.
It's always something crazy, like, I think in Deadpool, you like do a full, it goes like all the way around and then once more into the lock, like, so like, that's the MXV skill shot on that one. They're always different, but it's hard to find.
So usually it looked like there was multiples, because it did show up on the app that I got it, and it said like one of like 3, but I thought it was only 1 usually when they do that.
Yeah. I don't know.
So maybe there's multiples. I don't know, but it did show up on the app, so it happened. It
did happen. I logged in. I'm like not proud of myself, because I usually am like too cool for school for Insider Connected, but when I got it, I was like, I'm gonna log in.
It was pretty cool.
I'm gonna take that MXV skill shot. I wanted that one.
All right. What is like? I don't know, I'm trying to think of. I feel like we're rounding the end of the talk on this. You think?
For sure.
What else? I guess I'd ask you, like, is there something that you walked away from this? Like, what would be your like overall impression of it if you had to like summarize it?
I think that. I mean, I'm really excited to play it more. Like, it feels kind of in that classic Brian Eddy. Like, I think maybe it is because it's like a medieval theme. It's like medieval madness, but like it was fun, dude. Like, we were all having fun. The dragon looks crazy cool. Like, a premium dragon is like, it is a puppet, like in the game. It's crazy. That's like shooting shit out at you. It's crazy. But I just really had a blast playing it, and I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. It's like everyone who's working on this game seems really fired up on it.
They seem like everyone seems like really into this
game. And I just think it's going to be a game where it's like, whether you like Dungeons and Dragons or not, like, the idea behind it is interesting. Like I said, they're kind of pushing pinball forward as like a thing.
Yeah.
You know.
It felt to me, it kind of felt like different. I don't know. There was something about the game that I felt like I was playing something, even though we play a bunch of pinball. I felt like, wow, this is one of those things, right? It's kind of a risk. And do they get the reward from it? I don't know. Like, meaning Stern's obviously like their main buyer is the home buyer. 70% of, Seth Davis and Stern will say it all the time. Gary, he'll always say it, 70%. So I don't know. Like, I really do hope that people, because it's tough sometimes if they don't get the chance to play it on location. But I think if you get a chance to play it, it's gonna surprise you, because I was like, okay, because I'm not interested in Dungeons and Dragons in general. Although I did watch the movie because Ian told me to.
It's good, right?
And the movie's actually really good. I was
good.
I told him today, the first thing I said when I saw him, I was like, dude, that movie was pretty good. Like, how did that movie? How was it not? It's almost like a shame that movie wasn't that popular.
I know. Y'all should check it out.
Yeah,
it's
so
really
check out
good.
the movie if you haven't seen it. But the recent one, I guess there was an older one that wasn't good.
That is not good.
Yeah,
we heard that.
Yeah, that's really
like,
bad.
Don't watch it. Yeah,
So don't watch the old
one from like 2 years ago is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is what I'll say is like I think it will be. It's always easy for people to sort of like criticize a game, but also like it's fun, and like a lot of pinball is like. You like Venom. I'm not a huge Venom fan. Like I like Mandalorian. I don't know if you love it. Like I'm saying like
but yeah, you're right.
To different tastes.
Yeah.
And so like for me it's just always dumb like one way or the other if people are like
it's a bad game.
It's good or it's bad. Like I think get out of like thinking in those like binary terms because that's stupid. It's like saying like a band is good or bad. Like some people's band like favorite band is Nirvana, like whatever, you know? So
like we talked about one time, I think I was
like
saying,
he said his favorite band was NSYNC, and I was like, that's not really a band. And he's like, no, but for real, it's my favorite band. And I was like, Ralph, I don't think you understand what bands are. Yeah,
that's exactly. No, I remember we were driving somewhere and I said, or we were talking on the phone or something, and I was like, man, I'm just not. I don't even know how the topic came up, but I was like, I just never have liked like ska music. I just never have.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I don't think ska music sucks. It's not like my thing.
I get it. Yeah.
And so I think pinball's like to your point, pinball's like that. There's just so many different styles of gameplay. There's different styles of like game design layout. And but I will say, because I feel like someone's gonna want me to have some kind of like opinion, I'd just say right now, I think it's really fun and I want to play it more because it seems like they're doing some super creative things. And the thing that I'm trying to say about it feeling different, it did feel like kind of new and fresh, but I don't know why exactly I think that way.
Yeah.
It felt like something new.
The code is just, it's going to be hard to quantify like talking about that because I think it's just like, yeah, it's one of those things like I want to put like a couple dozen plays on this game. I need to play. We played it 4 or 5 times, and then I was like total, ADD guy and just like went over to, I was like, oh, I'll play Elvira, I'll play James Bond's 60th. Like,
well, keep in mind, guys, it wasn't easy to like, you can't eat with that many people in the room, and there's some really good players in there too. So like you can't play for that long, even though we were in there for what? I mean, we had to be in there for like 4 hours.
Okay, this is one thing we should say actually. The scoring is broken right now.
Oh, the scoring's broken.
Way broken. And they said it was broken. They're like, literally you do anything. Like I posted a picture of like myself in front of like, it was like you and Carrie.
Yeah, it was my
Carrie
first
Hardy,
game, by the way.
Carrie Hardy and Colin even of Kinesis ended up beating me, but I took the picture before he had beaten me. Oh, but yeah, I mean, it was like I had like 1.7 billion or something like that, and it was just like so that part is like guys, like that is true. That's not,
I felt like they were very
forthright.
Yeah, they were very like forthcoming about what is broken or what needs to be resolved. Like there was definitely some things. I mean, like anything, if you're in the hobby, then like at least from Stern's perspective, usually like the games when they come out, the code's working and the game is like a working game, but there's always things that they improve over the first like 3 to 4 months that are usually major things that like kind of sometimes change
Yeah.
the game a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the bones of it, if I want to call it that,
Yeah.
were really cool and fun. So I think look, we don't know. They could be brilliant and make it 10 times better, or maybe it stays the same. But I think like the bones of it right now are good. So they have a good base to work from.
And just hearing them talk about like literally they were like, there's 1,100 lines of dialogue. There's like all these different characters. Like, so, and there are 4 different character classes, but then kind of like Venom, you can beat the game. There are 3 different endings, which is crazy. That's cool.
That is cool.
And then when you beat them, it unlocks another character class that you then have. So it's like, that's crazy. So
I do think though, like that aspect alone makes me interested to have one at home.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I feel like depth is cool at home in a game, because if the game isn't deep code
like you could have a day just playing that, like kind of like, you know how you veg out, like we were just talking about World of Warcraft or something like that. It feels like that, kind of like lazy, like you could just like be playing Dungeons and Dragons all day. You're like, yeah, I leveled up my character, like I reached this ending, I unlocked whatever. Like that's cool. Like that's
cool.
That's a cool idea.
He did say something interesting. He's like, because I think I've heard other people say this. You might have even said this before. Like people have come out and said, like, I think this is going to be like Venom was a test on how they can do this. Like your progression stays with your character.
Yeah.
And Dwight was like, look, we learned a lot from Venom. And if anything, that was and this was him. It wasn't like we asked him the question. He's just like, Venom helped us get here. Yeah. And this is like the next level of what we did with that. So that to me, like when someone says, oh, they're not being creative in pinball, or there's no innovation in pinball, I'm like, dude, everything about this game seems pretty innovative to me as far as like the direction they're going with it.
100%.
It makes me hopeful that, and also it makes me hopeful that Stern will, and maybe other pinball manufacturers too, they'll start to take little chances here and there that are risky, but it'll give us something new to play and experience, you know?
For sure. And you know what? If it makes you feel better to call me a shill, like
I'm kind of over that at this point.
I'm fine with it. Like, go nuts, dog. Like, you know, we all got to do something.
Yeah,
so.
and I
call people Goofenbachers. You can call me a shill.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know, all right. Just for 1 second, I'll close off on that. I do feel like though there is like there's a group of media that, or maybe it's not. There's an expectation, I think, all the time that because you report on a hobby, you're supposed to give your I don't know, stamp of approval that you should go do this or go do that.
Sure.
And I think for me, I just like sharing my opinion about the things that I enjoy, and what people choose to do with it is what they choose to do with it.
I mean, for me, like Nudge, like I said, is a pinball lifestyle magazine. We focus on location pinball. For me, like pinball is as expensive as $1 a play. Like I don't own games at home. Yeah. Like I have a Torpedo Alley, an old game, but like I play all the new Sterns and like I seek them out. You know, I think that's part of the fun of this hobby. So it's like you don't have to. You can like this game and not buy this game.
And I think that's the thing I've been trying. I get these comments. I know our content's different, so you probably you don't get
like
these
mine's
kinds
like
of,
cool.
Yeah, mine's not cool.
No,
So,
yours is cool.
No, but like I get these comments a lot where I'll be talking about a game. It's like, oh, it's so expensive or whatever. And my response is always, look, I probably lately have been playing more location play than even at my own house.
Yeah.
So like you don't even think about it as, to your point, like you don't have to buy any of this stuff.
It's not a binary thing.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah. So.
But I do feel like that gets brought up so much, and it's a little frustrating because I really think.
Well, we don't have to be frustrated. Look at us having this elevated conversation.
I know we've
amazing.
I'm gonna rise up off this couch. I'm gonna actually float away.
Can you do that, dude? That was one of my favorite, like Todd Tucky. I mean, you know,
when he used to do the float away thing.
The float away stuff is like some of my favorite. Yeah.
So the reason
Todd Tucky float away.
So by the way, the reason why we're in this hotel room and not downstairs is because we got kicked out. Ian left, and then I got kicked out. The guy's like, "Yeah, you can't film here," which is weird because during Pinball Expo they didn't give a crap where I set up my stuff, but we made it work.
Yeah, I like this.
I appreciate
it's quite intimate. So thanks.
Yeah, this couch is the smallest couch for 2 men to be on ever.
It's really, and thanks guys. You watch this. Hats off to you.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on and talking to me. I think I don't know. I had so much fun today. If there's one thing that came out today, I had such a blast. We had so many cool people there. I met some new people that I hadn't met before. So, and the cool thing is like when the Stern people come in and you have all these people that do different jobs at Stern, it's cool to talk to them because every one of them, when I meet them, they're all nerdy pinball people who just want to geek out.
Yeah.
And they are excited that you're excited.
Yeah, you met like the guy who does the harnesses, you know?
Yeah,
You
like I met the
Jim,
guy that
like-
makes he had introduced me to the guy that literally designs the wire harnesses for Stern. And give me the stat again, the industries that use the most wire harnesses.
it's just the automotive industry, aerospace, and pinball.
Yeah, and he's like, look, there's like a couple more appliances use them, but he's like, wire harnesses to this sophistication, like this wire needs to be right here that connects to this, and also it's just not.
But it just so anyway, but like meeting all those people and like Keith Owens just showing up, like that, it's such a cool. It makes them seem like people, which is like something that I think we forget, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like they're guys who like making pinball. They like playing pinball. They're like such nerds about it. There's like we hung out with them tonight at Interium, and they were just like listing off old like Jack Danger and Kyle, another guy who works at Stern, were just like listing off old like pre-war games that they like, and I was like, that is wild.
And
Like,
they
you
didn't
guys are
even have to-
dorks. Like,
And they didn't even have to do that. They just like
came out to chill.
And
so,
a couple of them played in the tournament. So like,
we gotta shut up though. We would talk about this
all right.
forever.
It was so fun though, and I know that like it's cool because you know, our hobby is small at the end of the day, and there's not that many people you can geek out with about this. So obviously the people that make them you can geek out with, but that is the reason, by the way, just to close it off on that. The reason why I like going to doing the location play is because it's all a bunch of like pinball nerds who enjoy, like you'll get off a game, and depending on how serious they are, some do not like to, like IFPA rules would say you're not supposed to tell someone what to do while you're
right.
playing.
Yeah, you're not.
But like I've gotten off games at Electric Pat and someone's like, hey man, you were really struggling on that game. I'm just going to like give you some tips for next time.
Yeah.
And then we start talking about like things that annoy us about the game. He's like, oh, Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's so dark, it's hard to play, like whatever it is. And we just complain, but we're also having fun. Like, I don't know. Anyway,
100%. Yeah.
location plays where it is a fun thing, and everyone should experience it, I think.
I'll even throw this idea out there. I think it's such a fun, like we do mostly, ours is like monthly. And it's so fun to see the same people every month.
Yeah.
And like you kind of have your little groups where it's like people talk with each other, and then you'll kind of like have your different. I think that would be such a good like Seinfeld type show or something like that, where it's just like, and that's the vibe. So like I would definitely recommend, like if you're thinking about playing competitive pinball, it doesn't have to be like competitive. You can just
you can just have fun.
Have fun. Like we saw it tonight. So
tonight, yeah, I played terrible, but I had a great time. Like I got to meet some cool people, and like we were laughing because we got put on this game that was like an old EM game, and it was like totally messed up.
it was quite messed
It
up.
was all messed. It's called Fun. What is it? Fun.
I don't know. I want to be like Fun's a Poppin' or something. It wasn't that.
Anyway,
It was
fun
some
is in the
old-
name.
Yeah.
And it's not the most.
It wasn't. It was not. It didn't look too fun.
It's not very fun, but it was just funny because we were laughing at how we couldn't play 4 players because the game has some weird glitch where like if you accidentally push it too much, like it does like almost like a false positive tilt, but then it like messes up the second player. So to play 2 people or to play 4 people, you have to play 2 games of 2-player games. Because it does phantom games. Anyways,
I'm only laughing about this because I just think about when everyone's like, do not tell stories about like, no one cares about your like tournament. No one cares about your games. Cause I'll do that all the time. I'm like, dude, and then it's like, I got this old gem, and like, they're like, shut up.
I
And
know.
I'm like, this is so charming to hear this. Like, dude, even Ralph.
and I heard on a podcast the other day someone be like, if I want my whole audience to leave, all I got to do is start talking about tournament play. I'm like, I don't know about that. You could talk about experiences during it.
I know,
It's fun.
but if you're like Tom Graff, you're like, yeah, and then I just hit that shot 800 times in a row.
Well, yeah,
Like,
that's different. But
So,
all right, Ian,
all right.
it's time for bed, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
I'm gonna go to bed separately.
We have different rooms. No,
Yeah, that's not the
not that
same,
there's
yeah.
anything wrong with that.
the smallest couch.
But yes, thanks so much for having me.
Anything you want to plug before you go?
Sure. So we're gonna have in the next few, whenever you're watching this, in the next few weeks, we're gonna have old back issues of Nudge Magazine.
Okay.
That are gonna be available on our website, nudgepinball.com. They've been sold out for a really long time, and I've taken the shipping out of my hands, so you'll get it on time. That'll be nice.
All right, that's cool.
But yeah, so we have 4 issues right now. Issue 5 is going to come out in 2025.
That's awesome. And where do they get it?
NudgePinball.com.
All right, so you guys head over to nudgepinball.com if you're interested in that. And I appreciate Ian coming on. This was a good time. I got to hang out with this guy all day, but the night is over now. So we're gonna go to bed. And I don't know. What's your plan for tomorrow? You taking off?
I'm going to get my oil changed.
Okay, we're gonna do an oil change podcast coming up here in a minute. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you, and we will see you on the flip side.